Unit 4.05, and we're going to continue evaluating trig expressions for all angle measures. Here's our completed unit circle. If you still need to copy this down, make sure you have it. Make sure you have any questions about why any of this works, that you write it down now. It's very important. We're going to take a look at a couple questions and then give you some tips to study for the quiz tomorrow. You'll remember number 2 from class today. What I want you to do is go ahead and work through both 2 and 3. Split your paper up in half. I'm going to talk about them a little bit, so do all your work on the left side and then save the right side for anything that I add. Alright, so let's first think about tangent of 10 pi over 4. So 10 pi over 4, well, I know it takes 8 pi over 4s to get all the way to 2 pi, right? Think about it. 8 pi over 4, 8 over 4 is 2, so that'll be 2 pi. So one way around will be 2 pi, and then I go another pi over 4, that's 9 pi over 4. 10 pi over 4 will be exactly 90. So the tangent of 10 pi over 4 is going to be the sine over the cosine, and the sine here is 1, and the cosine is 0. Well, this just so happens to be undefined. It does not exist. And when I think about what that means, remember that the tangent is the slope of the terminal ray. And the terminal ray here is a line that goes straight upwards. Well, you can't define the slope of something that's going straight upward, right? Because it's never traveling in the x direction, it's only going straight up. So this means that the slope of the ray for pi over 2, the terminal ray for 10 pi over 4, is it has an undefined slope. All right, now for number 3. So which of the values is greatest? So we're thinking about sine of 1 radian. What is that? Well, think about what radian means again. It means that the arc length, if it were 1 radian, it means that the arc length is exactly equal to 1 radius length. Well, where does that happen? Let's think about some of the values we have. So consider pi over 3, right? Pi over 3, well, pi is about 3.14. So this is a little greater than 1, just by a little, right? So if I think about where 1 radian is, it's going to be a little, right? Where is it going to be? Right? Think about it. Is it going to be a little past or a little before pi over 3? Well, pi over 2 certainly is greater than 1. So it's actually going to be a little before pi over 3. Okay, so it's going to be somewhere around there. In fact, if you wanted to know exactly, you could Google it. It's about 57 degrees is one radian. So the sine of 1 radian, think about sine, root 3 over 2. That's going to be pretty close to root 3 over 2. So let's just kind of mark that down. Root 3 over 2 about. And then think about sine of 2. So if I go then another 57 degrees or 1 radian, I'm not quite going to get over here. So I'm going to be right there. And sine is, of course, the y value. So think about it. If I went from here and then I couldn't quite get all the way here. So let's be very specific. This is not just about root 3 over 2. It's actually a little less than root 3 over 2. Because this point here is at root 3 over 2. And remember, I'm just a little before that. So when I go another 1 radian, I'm going to be a little above root 3 over 2. So sine of 2 is greater than root 3 over 2. So far we're at B, and if you kept rotating, right, so think about here, I'm going to go another 1. Well, clearly this is less, right? I've moved down in the y direction. And then if I were to go another 1, well, now I'm in the negative, so it's clearly getting even smaller. So I have to go with B here. The key is understanding what it means when I say sine of 1 radian or 2 radians or 3 radians, remembering that radians are the number of radius lengths in the arc that subtends the angle that I'm curious about. Or this should look familiar. So what is the angle measure, or what is the angle measure of the angle shown below? So the angle that I'm talking about is this angle here. You can assume that this is the center of the circle and that these are the two rays that create that angle. 37.5 is the arc length, and 13 is the radius. I want you to show all your work and explain. I'm not going to go over this one. I want you to work on it on your own. We can talk about it tomorrow if you want. And then what I want you to do is spend at least 10 minutes preparing for the quiz. So I want you to give yourself some questions. So I want you to write 3 questions and answer them. This is good prep for when you have to come up with ways to study. Write 3 questions for yourself and answer them. All right, if you happen to stay on, I decided to change my mind and I wanted to speak briefly about this one. So the arc length is 37.5 inches and a radius length is 13. So the number of radius lengths in this arc length will give me the number of radians. And so I want to divide 37.5 by 13 to find that out.